Yes, we do have a quorum of 100 members present in the room and online. So with that, I declare the meeting duly constituted and will now proceed to the business at hand. Today's agenda was posted on CIRA AGM website on August 5th, 2015. You'll find a copy in your AGM kit given to you at check-in. Unless I hear any objections, we will proceed with the agenda as distributed. I don't see any. So I'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the verification of the 2014 Annual General Meeting minutes. A copy of the minutes is available in your kits, and they were made available on the website on August 5th, 2015. If there are no objections, I will verify the minutes as correct. Seeing none, the minutes stand verified. I'd like to begin my report to you by introducing the hardworking members of our board, all of whom are in attendance today. I invite each board member to please stand when I say your name and to remain standing so that those in the room will be able to identify you. Bill Sandiford, Vice Chair and Chair of the Product Strategy Committee. Michael Geist, Chair of the Community Investment Committee. Bill Gibson, Chair of the Compensation and Review Committee. Rowena Liang, Chair of the Finance, Investment, Audit and Risk Management Committee. Carol Mackay, Chair of the Governance Committee and Corporate Secretary. Carrie Brown, Andrew Escobar, Louise McDonald, Kevin MacArthur, Rob Villeneuve, Faye West, John Demko, Adam Scott, our Industry Canada representative, and Byron Holland, our President and CEO. Thank you, everybody. All the elected members of the board serve on one or more committees of the board, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them for their insight and contribution to the board and to CIRA over this past year. I'll now turn to outlining some of the major activities and accomplishments of the board this year. Much of our oversight legwork is carried out by committees that operate within mandates given by the board and make recommendations to the board. These committees make recommendations to the board as a whole. The 2014 and 15 fiscal year was a busy one for the board and for the staff. While the .ca domain names under management now stand at 2.3 million, and we continue to outperform many of our international country code counterparts in terms of domain name growth, our industry is changing dramatically. The domain name industry is maturing. Competition is increasing with the introduction of new GTLDs. Many of these new entrants, including a few very well-financed ones like Amazon and Google, have very new and innovative business models. To meet these challenges and to ensure a reliable and safe internet environment for all .ca users, over the past 3 years, CIRA has made significant investment in technical development. Consistent with our strategic plan, this initiative focuses on enhancements for the benefit of the internet community generally, but is also viewed with a lens of ensuring we are positioned to take full advantage of commercial opportunities that may be identified. Board oversight of this evolving initiative is led by and within the mandate of the Product Strategy Committee that was first struck 2 years ago. With a strategic plan to guide our work, we have made progress towards both expanding our product offerings and ensuring the long-term sustainability of the organization. In a few minutes, Byron will speak as to how CIRA has operationalized these initiatives, but I'm pleased to say that CIRA is in a stronger position to conduct internet activities in support of the Canadian internet community that enhance the experience for all Canadians. Just as one example of how we're giving back to the community, last year, for the second year in a row, we invested $1 million through the .ca Community Investment Program in projects that are enhancing Canadians' internet experience. The CIP, as we refer to it, is the only funding body in Canada that specifically targets internet issues. The 25 projects that receive CIP funding are as diverse as Canadian internet users themselves. In 2015, we supported projects that will help Canadians gain control over their personal data online, reduce food waste, enable new Canadian women to become online entrepreneurs, create new tools for media literacy education, and that will support community broadband in remote First Nations across Canada. Evolving CIRA's business model will also necessitate changes in our operations and resourcing of our operations. Over the past fiscal year, with the board's direction, the CIRA team planned and executed an office move, which was completed in May 2015. This move assists us in achieving our goals set out in the strategic plan by providing additional needed space, reinforcing our intentional culture of success, and helping to attract and retain top-shelf talent, knowledge-based employees. It also is to create more space more in line with today's business environment, being more innovative, fast-paced, customer-focused, and collaborative. CIRA was able to take advantage of a favorable Ottawa real estate environment to accomplish this move. We negotiated an attractive combination of landlord incentives of approximately $2 million over the term of the lease to offset the material capital investment required in an office move. The new space can accommodate CIRA's talented team, but anticipates future growth and assists in cementing CIRA a top 50 best small to medium enterprise in 2014 on the Hewitt survey as an anchor for Canada's high-tech sector. Also during the year, the board reviewed our investment objectives and approach to management of our portfolio with the assistance of an industry-leading investment consultancy. CIRA undertook this review to ensure that our investments continue to be managed in an appropriate and prudent manner, balancing risk and reasonable return, and discharging our stewardship and fiduciary responsibility over those funds, which are primarily set aside to fund future operational costs to deliver domain registration services to registrants. As a result of this process, our Statement of Investment Policy Procedures was revised to permit limited exposure to equities and active management of our equity bond and fixed income investments. It also permits CIRA to transition from a non-discretionary to a discretionary management approach, increasing the expertise applied to our investment decisions. A request for proposal was issued, resulting in Phillips Hager North being chosen as our investment manager. CIRA has traditionally been a single service entity, providing domain registrations and underlying domain name system that supports the domain registration. As CIRA introduces new products and services beyond our traditional service, the board formed a product strategy committee 2 years ago to continuously review the new product development strategy as it evolved and to provide advice and oversight on new product initiatives. This committee, as with all our committees, reports to the whole board. In the past year, we also recognized the need for renewal and alignment of the arrangements with our President and CEO to ensure ongoing and consistent leadership in the organization as we navigate through changing and challenging times. In this regard, the Compensation and Review Committee undertook a review of the position description evaluation, and compensation arrangements, as well as the contractual arrangements with the President. An executive compensation firm was engaged to assist the committee in developing the updated position description, surveying the executive compensation market for comparable roles to ensure that we were competitive and appropriately structured, and improving the review and evaluation process around the CEO's performance and alignment to the strategic plan and annual operating plan objectives. As an outcome of this process, we updated the CEO's contract, which had been unchanged since his hiring in 2008. Byron was engaged throughout and at each step of the process such that a positive and mutually agreeable outcome was achieved, thus setting the stage for future success. Our current strategic plan runs to the end of fiscal year 2016. The board has been in active discussion and working with management over the past several months on refreshing the strategic plan to guide us into the future. We anticipate that this process will culminate in the approval of a final strategic plan in the late fall to guide the organization forward from fiscal year 2017 through 2020. CIRA has become a critical part of the Canadian Internet community, supporting the development of the Internet within our borders for the benefit of all Canadians. And by CIRA, I mean all of us in this room and the viewers online, CIRA directors, staff, and the .ca members. At CIRA, we believe that Canadians have both the right to be informed about how the Internet develops and a responsibility to act and engage in it. As a .ca member, you have the opportunity to do your part to influence the future development and direction of the Internet in Canada by participating in the CIRA Board of Directors election. Your voice can make a difference. I encourage you to vote in the 2015 election, the polls of which are now open. I would now like to invite Byron Holland to the stage to provide his President's report for the 2014 fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. And again, welcome everybody to the 2015 Canadians Connected. We've heard from Susan that we really have entered a new phase in the evolution of the domain name industry. It's certainly a fast-paced and ever-changing industry, and I think that it's safe to say the old adage that the only constant is change certainly applies to the domain name space. And that said, it's an extremely dynamic and exciting space to work in. And I think that everybody in this room would recognize that at no time has the Internet ever been more critical to Canada, to society. Just under 20 years ago, there were approximately 4% of Canadians who had access to the Internet. Today, that's near 100% penetration. 20 years ago, there was almost no e-commerce happening on the Internet. And it's expected in the coming year that there will be $4 trillion worth of commerce conducted on the Internet. And we're also right at the cusp of adding another billion users to the Internet, and mostly from the developing world. So that again is going to reshape the Internet as we know it. Astronomical growth, unparalleled change, these are the stock and trade of our daily business. And to succeed in that kind of environment, an organization really has to be agile. It has to be able to adapt to those ever-changing conditions, and really to be able to plan ahead or plan for what lies ahead as best we can see what the Internet is going to dish out in the coming years. The good news is most of the changes that I've just articulated and Susan has talked about, we predicted a number of years ago and have planned accordingly. And as such have been able to ensure CIRA's place in the ecosystem and ongoing growth for our organization. And you may wonder, if CA continues to perform well, why do we really feel a need to continue to grow? After all, this year we've experienced roughly 6% growth, and by many industry standards, that would be considered very good. But the reason really is fairly straightforward. It's our commitment to continue to effectively operate the .ca and the underlying DNS in an increasingly challenging world. And also, as you heard from Susan, to continue to invest in bettering the Canadian internet landscape through a whole range of programs, most especially our community investment program. And to that end, we've made some of the most significant changes in our history, in our 15-year history this past year. So for the first time, we will be more than just the .ca top-level domain name registry. We've introduced new products that both build on and capitalize on the attributes that have made .ca a success. In the past year, we launched DZone, made in Canada, DNS secondary Anycast service that helps Canadian organizations and organizations outside of Canada optimize and secure their DNS infrastructure. And I encourage you to visit CIRA.ca, and you can find out more details about that particular service. But as online security is an increasing concern for individuals and certainly for organizations and Canadians in general, we've also made a number of core changes to .ca itself. We've implemented DNSSEC, a new security protocol to help secure .ca. We've introduced Registry Lock. These are product extensions that really continue to enhance and offer unparalleled security for our core mandate, our core mission, which is operating the .ca. Now, of course, creating new products and services necessitates changes to our own infrastructure, changes to our team. Susan recently spoke or just spoke about our new office move. And one of the key drivers for that office move was simply to create the space for the teams that are doing both the R&D and supporting our new products and services. Over the past fiscal year, our team grew by 18%, and we're now, the CIRA team is now just over 70 full-time employees. And as you know, CIRA is a unique entity, not just in Canada, but around the world. We are a world-class, not-for-profit, member-driven organization. And while we operate as a revenue-generating company, our measurement of success is not profit. We are in the business of creating a better internet for Canada, for our customers, for our members, for our registrants, for our channel partners. The revenue that we generate is reinvested back into building a better online Canada. Susan spoke about our community investment program, one of our key initiatives helping to enhance the Canadian online experience. But we also support the Canadian internet through other fora. For example, the Canadian Internet Forum, which is a national dialogue on current internet issues that allows all Canadians to have a voice in some of the most important internet issues of the day. We held the 5th Canadian Internet Forum this past spring, where we had 125 people gathered in Ottawa to discuss some of the key online issues of the day, including Canada's internet policy environment, online surveillance, small business or business online, as well as some of the fundamental internet governance changes that are happening literally as we speak, as the United States government transitions out of its oversight role of some of the key technical resources, key internet technical resources, and transitions that responsibility over to the global internet community. The results of these discussions really influence our decision-making inside CIRA. It provides guidance for us, but it also, in various international fora, helps us express the opinions that Canadian internet users are offering us through fora such as the Canadian Internet Forum. These are just a few examples of some of the key things that we're doing right now, but really it only scratches the surface of what this organization did over the past year. There are a number more, many more in fact, and I would encourage you to go online to CIRA.ca and look at our member report, which will provide significantly more detail on the activities that we have undertaken over the past year. At CIRA, without a doubt, our aim is to be one of a handful of the best top-level domain registries in the world, really among the best the entire industry has to offer. The good news is we are in that spot. We want to be a point of pride for all Canadians online, and with our enhancements to .ca, our expansion into other internet-related products and services, and our commitment to facilitating the development of a strong internet in Canada, I'm confident that we're well on our way to doing that. So thank you very much, and I will now welcome Rowena Lang, the chair of our Finance, Investment, and Audit Committee, to present the Auditor's report and the audited financial statements for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2015. Thank you. Rowena?
Well, thank you, Byron. I'm pleased here to present to you the Auditor's report and the summary of the financial statement for the fiscal year 2013. After my presentation, there will be, we'll appoint the auditors, and I will then invite Susan back onto the podium, and she will invite questions from the audience. You can find a full version of the auditor's report and the related financial statement in the, on the CIRA AGM website. The fiscal year 2015 financial statement have been issued with an unqualified opinion by the auditor. An unqualified opinion means that we received a clean audit and that there are no issues with the financial statements as presented. So you've heard from Byron and Susan all the accomplishment that we've completed this year, and I'm going to show you how they're going to be, or how they are reflected in the financial statement. We'll begin our presentation of the statement of financial position. CIRA remains in a very strong, solid financial position. Current assets increased by approximately $2.2 million over last year. That's $1.1 million of that pertains to an increase in our cash held in our operating account. After we distribute grants to the successful applicants in the early 2016, this cash balance has subsequently reduced by about $1 million. There is a $900,000 increase in our accounts receivable balance. This is primarily driven by the introduction of a semi-monthly and monthly credit program to for our registrars. At the end of the year, our restricted investment balance was slightly less than $21.8 million, which is down $2.1 million from the $23.9 million in the previous year. The decrease was driven in part by the use of funds to offset current annual operating deficits and funding of construction costs pertaining to our new office premises. Restricted investment are set aside under board restricted investment guidelines, and also managed according to our Statement of Investment Policy and Procedures. They are primarily set aside to fund our deferred revenue balances and our capital investment. Deferred revenue represents services that have not yet been rendered or earned. The investment approach that we take, as usual, is conservative with a primary emphasis upon preservation and achievement of reasonable investment return to maintain our purchasing power with respect to inflation. During the year, approximately 90% of the portfolio of assets were transferred into Philip Hagen North to be managed under discretionary management or discretionary investment management mandate. The residual of the portfolio, which is 10%, continue to be held at TD Waterhouse through to maturity. The investment performance is monitored quarterly by our management and also with the oversight of this committee, the Finance, Audit, Investment, and Risk Management Committee. CIRA invested nearly $2.6 million in capital infrastructure this year, and to ensure the safety, security, and resilience of our .ca registry and the DNS. We also deployed a Canadian and global managed DNS infrastructure, as Byron talked about, and also started the construction of our new premises, a new office. Net of related amortization of $2 million, CIRA's total capital asset increased by approximately $600,000 to $3.4 million. On the liability side, in aggregate, current and long-term liabilities in the fiscal year ended increased by $2.1 million over the previous year. Accounts payable increased by $1.3 million, reflecting our year-end commitment for infrastructure and leasehold improvement at the new office premise. The current portion of our deferred revenue increased by $800,000, while the related long-term portion increased by $250,000. Deferred revenue represent unearned revenue and CIRA's obligation to provide future services to registrants. This year, we made a conscious decision to run a small deficit and to invest in our organization capacity, our products, and our services. CIRA's net investment has decreased a little under $1.4 million to around $9 million as a result of this fully anticipated fiscal year operating deficit. Now, looking at the statement of operation, total revenue for fiscal year increased by $1.2 million and ended the year at $19.1 million. It is a 6.5% increase over the previous fiscal year. The majority of the revenue growth is attributable to growth in domain under management. We have added $140,000 in DUM in 2015. CIRA also began initial trials and launched our new managed DNS service at the end of the fiscal year. Total operating expenditure in fiscal year 15 were $21.3 million, which is 4.8 higher than the prior year. Again, these are all anticipated in our budget and comprise of 1.7 increase in our salary and benefit. We added 16 staff, primarily to the technical organization, and to permit CIRA to continue to provide safe and resilient .ca registry as well as our DNS. We enhanced our core .ca domain product and services, and also developed complementary DNS registry, security, identity management products that will emulate from our core organization capacity. We also launched our Community Investment Program Fund this year, and there's a $1 million increase in our Community Investment Program expenditures. There's an $800,000 increase in our office and general administration. The largest portion of that pertains to a one-time early termination fee that's paid to our landlord, a previous landlord. Computer operations and networking amortization and consulting expenditure altogether increased by approximately $400,000. This increase is because we increased the scale of our technology adoption and technology deployment over the course of the year. so that we have a safer, more resilient platform for .ca and the DNS. And again, we also invested in the new product, as Byron had mentioned. New investment, net investment income increased by $400,000 over the previous year. Most of the increase is attributable to gains and interest income realized on the transition of our investment portfolio to Phillips Hagen North. So on an overall basis, we ended the year with an operating deficit of $1.4 million. Again, this is fully anticipated in our budget, and it's our conscious decision to make investment in our organization. So to summarize, even though we didn't achieve double-digit growth, we achieved 6.5% increase in our revenue. The major highlight of our expenditures include increasing our organization capacity. We increased our staff. We introduced a semi-monthly credit program to our registrars. We moved our investment portfolio to Phillips Hagen North so that it can be managed under the discretionary mandate. We started our office move, and then we also increased or introduced the Community Investment Program Fund, which is $1 million increased in our community investment program. So this concludes my presentation for the 2015 financial statements, and thanks for your attention. Now I will invite Susan back to the podium for the appointment of the auditors. Susan?
Thank you, Rowena. So we have now a couple of motions to put before the meeting, and I'll start with the appointment of auditors. So KPMG, who have been our auditors, have agreed to serve as CIRA's auditors until the next annual general meeting. I'll start by asking if anybody has any specific question with respect to the appointment of auditors. Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to reappoint KPMG as CIRA's auditors. Bill? Bill Gibson has made the motion. The motion reads as follows: that KPMG be appointed as auditors of CIRA to hold office until the next annual general meeting or until their successors are duly appointed, and that the board of directors be authorized to establish the remuneration for the auditors. Could I have a seconder for that motion, please? Rob? Rob Villeneuve has seconded that motion. Are there any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask eligible members to please vote. If you're an eligible member and you're in the room, you'll find your card in your kit that you received at check-in. It's the one that looks like this. When you vote, please hold your card up high until you're asked to put it down. This will determine a majority, and if required, to ensure that we can count the votes. For those of you joining us via webcast, when your vote is called, you'll see the question appear in the video, and you will click on your selection and your vote will be automatically registered. Those individuals who became .ca members after August 26th will notice on their screen that they've been precluded from voting, so you may notice something going on the screen there. So we will now proceed with the vote. Would all those in favor please raise your voting card now, or if you're on the webcast, vote now. I have to wait for the webcast. The motion is carried and KPMG will serve as CIRA's auditors until the next annual general meeting. Thank you. This year, we also have a proposal for a member's resolution for an amendment to the bylaw relating to the corporate secretary. Okay, on June 16th, the board adopted changes to sections 8.01 and 9.04 of CIRA's amended and restated bylaw number 1. Information about these changes were posted on CIRA's website on August 5th. The changes relate to who can serve as corporate secretary of the CIRA Board of Directors. Previously, the bylaw provides that a director or the general counsel could serve as the corporate secretary. The proposed amended bylaw removes the requirement that only a director or the general counsel can serve as corporate secretary. With these changes, the board could now appoint anybody, including a staff member, to serve as corporate secretary. Before we move to questions and comments, may I please have a motion to confirm the member's resolution? Faye West has made that motion. So we'll now open the floor to any questions, and then we'll have discussion after questions. So I would ask anybody who has questions to please come to the microphone or indicate on their screen their question. I'm seeing no questions. So now I would open to discussion of the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, and none indicated coming in from online. Could I have somebody second the motion, please? Carrie? Carrie Brown has seconded the motion. So let's review the, I should have had the seconder before I asked for discussion, so I will again ask if anybody has any questions. And seeing none, if there's any further discussion of the motion. And seeing none. So I think we will now move to the vote. Again, members may vote by raising their card, and if you're online, for those of you joining on the webcast, and again, you will, if you became a member after August 26, you will be sent to the breakout room, which is a virtual breakout room, during the vote. So we'll now proceed with the vote. Would all those in favor please raise your voting card now? And if you're on the webcast, could you please vote now? It looks clear, but I'll just wait for the webcast. The motion is carried. The changes to the bylaw remain in effect. We will now proceed to general questions from the members. I'll invite Byron to come back to assist with this part. And if you have any questions, could you please come to the microphone? Or if you're on the webcast, could you please post your question and it'll be relayed to us in the room. When you stand or on the webcast, please state your name and affiliation prior to asking the question. And as this is a meeting of members, we will first start by taking questions from members. We'll keep an eye on the clock, at least somebody will, and we'll permit questions as time permits. Do we have any questions? Seeing no questions from the floor, are there any questions from the webcast? None? There are no questions. Should questions come to your mind, you'll find us around after the annual general meeting, if you prefer that less formal environment. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today, and it's now time to adjourn the official portion of this meeting. So I'll call for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Bill Sandiford has moved adjournment. Will somebody please second the motion? Victoria Withers has seconded the motion. Would all those in favor please raise your voting card now, or if you're on the webcast, please vote. Boy, that was quick. And I'm waiting for the screen count, but I think we're good to go. Okay.